Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We are going to be talking about Kringle Candle Pumpkin Cashmere. Two things I wanted to talk about right off the bat here as we get into this review. First and foremost, this candle was sent to me in PR by Kringle Candle. That is why you are seeing that little paid promotion flag come across the top of the screen here. This is not a sponsored video, but basically in an act of transparency, I will always notate that when I am reviewing a candle that I did not pay for. I am a brand ambassador for Kringle. However, if you've been with my channel any length of time, you guys know I always strive to keep it very real with you. I let you know when I love a fragrance. I let you know when I don't like a fragrance. I let you know if it falls somewhere in between. I let you know how it performs in my house. And if you're new to my channel, you can always check in that description box down below to get a gauge of my home layout. I do live in a single story, about 1,700 square foot ranch style home. I have a very open concept living area, but more closed concept bedrooms. So if you ever want more information, I always feel like that's really important to take into context when you are listening to any reviewer, is to be familiar with the size of a home that they are burning their candles in, as well as take into account other factors like the environment that they live in, the age of the home, all sorts of stuff. So if a reviewer discloses that for you, make sure you take mental note and see how that compares to your living space. Second, other thing that I wanted to address, clearly you guys, I am talking about a fall candle. And I know a lot of you guys are here simply for my reviews, but you will see that I have nice, beautiful, fake blue tulips in the background. And that is because I am reviewing this candle in July, and your girl here just does not have her fall decorations up. And I do not plan to have my fall decorations up until probably after Labor Day, which at that point, truthfully, I will probably be reviewing Christmas candles. But regardless, you guys, what I wanted to say is that if you are here for the full design aesthetic, the full candlescape, you're not going to get that with my reviews. I will give you the information. I'm going to do my very best to, do the best that I can to make this somewhat aesthetically pleasing. But just be aware, you guys, that I am not going to ask my husband to crawl up into the attic to get down some of my fall decorations just simply for the purpose of a candle review. Not yet, at least. He's actually dealing with a little bit of a bum knee, and I don't want to do that. So anyways, we're going to deal with pretty blue flowers in the background while we are talking about pumpkin cashmere. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, um, this candle, while it's marketed as a fall scent, I think this one could be good year round. So let's go ahead and talk about it. This is one of the new 3-wick candles that Kringle has recently launched. If you caught my American Pie review last week, I did talk a little bit more in detail about these new 3-wicks. These have now officially replaced the old large 2-wick tumblers. So you can see that there's some very similar design aesthetics. However, these now have 3-wicks. We still get the same amount of wax, 22 ounces, 100% soy wax. Nice clean burn, that Kringle is known for. And these still are the same price point that the 2-wick tumblers were. This fragrance is also available in the, what I would call extra large 4-wick Kringle format. That is 32 ounces of wax, and that is 4 wicks, little bit bigger, girthier candle than this one. And then they do also have this available in the single wick tins. I'm not sure if they got the wax melts off the ground yet. I know that there's been a little bit of up and down with that. So, but the plans are, if they are not already on the website, to be there. All right, pumpkin cashmere. This one has fragrance notes. Top notes are listed as orange, nutmeg, cinnamon. Mid notes of tonka bean, vanilla. Base notes of musk and cashmere. This specific candle that I am reviewing has a pour date of June 11th, 2025. All right, you guys, when I initially got the whole collection in, I think I ranked this one number 3. And here's the thing, you guys, this actually has kind of crept its way up. I'm not going to say that it has supplanted the white pumpkin and sage, because that to me is still a very, very unique fragrance. And I think that that's why I'm giving it the edge. But I would say that this fragrance might be firmly in a number 2, maybe like 1.5, I would say, after burning it. You guys, this is a beautiful, warm, cozy. It is a gourmand adjacent type of fragrance, but I am going to say that for me personally, this does not remind me of actual food. The cashmere note in here, which I'm going to say, I don't always love cashmere notes in every brand, but it's safe to say now, after burning a couple of Kringle candles where there is a note like this, I've come to realize I actually really, really like the way that Kringle does a cashmere note. Now, those are in the base notes. And I will say that on cold, the cashmere and the musk mixed with some of that, like I think it was the orange note on the top, almost came across a little bit like dusty to my nose, slightly like powdery perfumey. However, when this candle is burning, that fades. This becomes just a very warm, I get spice in here for sure. It's definitely more nutmeg forward than it is cinnamon to my nose. And of course, the warmth of a tonka bean and a vanilla in there. The tonka bean, I always feel like, again, is very, it's like an elevated take on vanilla, maybe a little bit more woody in nature. And again, this is not like outdoorsy, woody type of fragrance, but there's just a little bit more depth to a tonka bean than there is a vanilla. This is very beautifully done. And it's funny that they call it pumpkin cashmere, but you notice that there's no pumpkin notes listed in here. Now, I mentioned in my Friday 5 last week that there is an orange note in here. And thankfully, you guys, the orange note, if you are concerned about the orange note dominating this fragrance, to my nose, it doesn't. I know last year they mixed orange with pumpkin in their Halloween fragrance called Pumpkinhead. And I know for a lot of people that just it kind of ruined the fragrance for a few people. Truthfully, it did for me eventually. I initially liked Pumpkinhead, but the more that I burned it, the more my nose honed in on that orange, and I did not really care for it. Thankfully, you guys, that's not really what I'm detecting here. Now, is there an orange note? Yes, but I do think that it mixed with the nutmeg, and again, we've got the tonka bean and the vanilla in there. They're grounding those sweeter, spicier fragrances from becoming too much to my nose. It's just beautifully balanced. And then again, those base notes of musk and cashmere is giving this a more like elevated, cozy, um, just homey type of feel, but also, again, it's not too fake perfumey. Very, very pretty. I am really, really loving this one. If you want some suggestions of other candles to pair it with, this blends beautifully with Aspen Ridge. If you purchased that one, I had mentioned in my community tab, because I was out of town when this launch actually happened, but I mentioned in my community tab that Aspen Ridge, I think, is probably going to appeal to the masses the most, particularly if you like apple outdoorsy types of fragrances. But I would say Pumpkin Cashmere is probably going to be my second most recommended candle. I would say that this one, I feel like a lot of people are really going to like this. But what I will say is, if you get this in, I know a lot of people are probably just starting to get their Kringle orders in. They were a little bit delayed on their shipping after the launch. If you are getting this candle in and you're sticking your nose in it on cold and you're like, ooh, I don't know, something smells a little bit powdery, a little bit kind of like musky on this, light it up. Light it up, because this is one of those fragrances. Kringle in particular is known for being this way, where I might smell it on cold, but the minute I light it up, not the minute, but I would say within an hour of lighting it up and letting that fragrance develop on warm, it really comes together. And that is definitely what happened with this candle. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the performance. I'm going to go ahead and turn around. Now you're going to see a really, really deep wax pool here. If you're new to my channel, or if you don't know, I do burn my candles in hurricanes, mainly for a couple of reasons. One, I live in Arizona. It's really hot this time of year. I'm constantly running air conditioning. And so I am wanting to protect my candles from the draftiness of, forced air in my home. Second, you're going to see these flames dancing around quite a bit. I do have a ceiling fan going on overhead, so that could be to blame. But going back to the hurricanes, that is why I have this very, very deep wax pool, because they add a little bit more heat to a fragrance. Now, I will say, if you are somebody who is burning the majority of your candles as a soy wax formula, you might want to look at hurricanes, because soy wax in particular does need to get pretty hot in order for it to start throwing fragrance. So that might be something that you want to look into. All right, so I'm going to put this up close. This candle has been burning for a little over 4 hours now. You can see the wicks. I could definitely trim them. I'm not getting any kind of excessive soot here. And like I said, the flames are only dancing around because a ceiling fan is going on. When I had this over in the hurricane in my living room, I was not having that issue at all. But again, this is a very, very deep wax pool. All right, strength and throw on this one, you guys. I am going to say first burn on this candle was a little bit weak for my taste. Not weak. I would say maybe like, I would say it was probably about a 6, anywhere between like a 5 and a 6 on the very first burn in my closed concept. So I had this burning initially in my bedroom. However, you guys, on the second and third burns, second burn, I actually started it my in my bedroom, and it was throwing outside of my bedroom, and I was like, oh, this is a lot stronger than the first burn. And then in the last 2 burns that I've had it going, I've definitely had it out in the open concept. And I'm going to say this one for me is about a 7.5. I feel like this fragrance throws better than it is in terms of it being super, super strong. So the throw on this in a hurricane, I'm going to give it about, yeah, like that 7.5, 8. But the strength of this candle is probably about a 7. Now, I did mention in my Friday 5 last week, something about me, you guys, is that I do have a tendency to go a little bit nose blind to fragrances if I am in the room with them for a long period of time. So I usually notice a fragrance in my house if I'm in the room for probably like the first 2 hours. But anything after that, usually I have to leave the room and come back in for me to really, really take a good whiff and smell it, or I have to be moving around like between rooms. I think a lot of us are that way. I think, especially for those of us who are really, really acclimated to fragrance, we do go nose blind pretty quickly. Most people who are not avid candle burners, it's funny, like I cannot burn, like if I were to not burn a candle for several hours, I can walk into my home and think it doesn't smell like anything, but I could have like one of my friends over who do not burn candles a lot, and they're like, oh my gosh, it smells fantastic in here. So just want to say that we can be a little bit, a little bit less sensitive, I would say, to fragrance. But that being said, we want to be able to smell our candles, right? That's the whole reason why we buy them. But I will say, you guys, this one is about a 7 for me. Personally, you guys, I really, really enjoy this fragrance. This is one that I would consider repurchasing. However, if I repurchase it, I think for me, I would go for the 4 wick, maybe to see if I could get a little bit more oomph. But also, I say that cautiously, saying that if this one gets too strong, I don't think it would be as enjoyable. I feel like this is one of those fragrances that's walking that fine line between being more of what I would call what would I call it? Like, it would be like the equivalent of, say, like a skin scent in the perfume community. It's walking that fine line between being a little bit lighter profile and trying to be a banger, right? Like it's trying to be like a really heavy one. It's kind of in between that, I would say. But it's very, very pleasant, very pretty. I definitely recommend it. It is one that I definitely see myself wanting to repurchase. I may not repurchase it for this fall, just because you guys know, as a reviewer, I am always trying to keep my nose on new things for all of you. But if I was not a reviewer, this would definitely go into my repurchase catalog. And I will say that going into the upcoming, fall seasons, at least the next couple of ones, I could see myself wanting to get my hands on more of this. It's very, very pretty. Last thing I wanted to note, you guys, is these labels. I know that Mick talked about this in his live with Brett from Philly Candleman. Personally, you guys, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this new label that they're doing. Basically, it's sticky on the 4 corners, but it does give a little bit of like a ridge here. You can see it, right? See, I can move that around there. It does give a little bit of a ridge. I personally kind of like the old ones for the look of them. I felt like they had a nice smooth finish. But I will say, as somebody who repurposes my vessels because I give them to a local florist when I'm done with them, I think it will make removing those labels a lot easier. So that's kind of where my love-hate relationship comes with them. I'm wondering if I could like peel it off and then smooth it over. I don't know. I haven't tried to do that, but just wanted to make a quick little note about that. So Last but not least, you guys, I do have an affiliate discount code with Kringle. It is Katie15. It will save you 15% off of your purchase with them. Keep that in mind, as we are getting ready for the Halloween launch next month. That is coming, I believe. I don't have the dates in front of me, but they did do a teaser. I want to say the first launch is going to be August 7th at midnight. And then 2 weeks after that, I think they will be releasing their part two. Ambassadors have not gotten any official word yet about what is coming up for Halloween, but you all know as soon as we're given the green light to share that, we will. So I will be over the next 2 weeks doing my best to try to make sure that I get these fall reviews up for you guys in case you end up wanting to throw any of these in your cart if you're going to be shopping Halloween, or if you want to get your hands on them beforehand but you are waiting for some reviews. There it is. So let me know in the comment section down below if you've gotten your order in yet. Did you place an order for this? What are your thoughts? I will be very curious. Is this one on your radar? Was it not on your radar and now you're contemplating it? Always like to hear what you guys are thinking. Again, if you like this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.